Gloria, I'm really glad that you're interested in pyramids because don't you want to know how they were built?
I kind of have my own theory, but I'd love to hear yours.
Okay, so here you go. This is not my theory. This is me doing research on a guy named Dr. Davidovits. He's a French scientist who about 15, 20 years ago, he was trying to get permission from the directors of antiquities, Firas Zahabi. I'm sure you know who that is, but he was corrupt at that time.
Yes.
So the antiquities director wasn't allowing them to get little pieces of the casing of the Giza pyramid to examine it under electron microscope. They weren't getting permission from that. Well, anyways, fast forward a little bit to the future, and the antiquities director was thrown out, and the new director allowed them permission to research under an electron microscope the casings of the pyramid. What he found amazed him. He found out that it was only 96% organic. And he went, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense. And he also saw little things called filaments in there. That's what you use commonly in concrete. So what he decided in his mind automatically was, oh my gosh, is this an ancient form of concrete? Well, what he did is he reverse engineered it. So he took that same piece of that sample of the casing of the Giza pyramid and he put it under an acid base and he basically dissected the ingredients that were inside of it. And he found out that it was salt, water, lime, ash, and bicarb. So salt, you know where you get salt from, obviously, it's easy to get. Lime, that's real easy to get. Water from the Nile. Ash from the burning of palm trees, right? And sodium bicarb. It's really simple ingredients. So the sand is everywhere, right? All over the desert. So what he did is he actually went into proving that the pyramids of Giza could be created using geopolymer technology. Geopolymer technology, there's a whole institute dedicated to it. But long story short, let's getting back into that. He actually went to Egypt to duplicate this successfully. The only other people that tried to do it failed. There was the Japanese in 1979. They tried to use equipment that the Egyptians supposedly used back in those times. They failed miserably. They had to cheat and use helicopters and cranes. They still couldn't do it because of the quarrying issue. So here's how it works. If you've ever heard of J&B cold weld, it's a liquid metal that if your radiator busts on you while you're driving, you can pull over, let it cool down, put this liquid metal on, and it does a cold bond. It does a cold cast bond. Well, in that same fashion, when you add salt, sand, water, lime, not salt, sorry, sand, water, lime, and ash, and bicarb together, they form a conglomerate that basically is ancient cement. And he duplicated this. It only takes about 8 to 12 hours for it to harden. And here's the process. You get wooden crates the size that you want these cubes to be in their final stage. Pour in the salt, the water, the lime, the ash, mix it, let it sit for about 8 to 12 hours. It hardens into a block of concrete. So if you're wondering how they're able to stack all these things, quarry them, all they had to do was get these wood crates. Yeah, and the same thing with every single ancient. It's as simple as that. All the ancients knew it. That's why there's pyramids everywhere. There's not just pyramids in Egypt, of course. There's pyramids all over China.
How did so many people overlook this idea?
Because the quarrying is what threw people off. Because they saw some quarries where they're like, okay, well, look, they were quarrying. So how did they get it over there, right? Well, they weren't doing that at all. The ancients had way more technology than we have. Obviously, they built the pyramids, right? But their technology was a very simple technology. It's called geopolymer technology. And to this day, NASA, our enemy, uses geopolymer technology to build their platforms for the rocket launches because they can build an instant, in one day, they can build a platform, a huge concrete platform that lasts. Now, if you're questioning, wait a minute, concrete, how could it last that long? Well, look at the Greek and Roman concrete. It's still around today. But our best concrete only will last about 50 years. The further you go back in time, the better the technology was. So think about, before you think if it's true or not, think about how much simpler it would be to basically use concrete to build anything you want, any structure you want. Of course, it'd be super easy, right? Well, is it provable? The Giza pyramid itself, Dr. Davidovits was able to figure out that the casings of the Giza pyramid were made using an ancient form of concrete. So does that mean exactly that that's what they did? Well, there's no way to know unless we actually traveled back in time. However, if you're able to reduplicate something in a peer-reviewed manner, which he did, it's all filmed and everything, that tells you that that's most likely how they were able to accomplish this feat. And geopolymer is something that's huge. There's a whole institute dedicated to it called the Geopolymer Institute. So in a nutshell, that's how the pyramids were built.